See, in year 2026, right? So if you want to be good in cybersecurity domain, like cybersecurity engineer or cybersecurity architect or principal architect cybersecurity, right? If you're focusing in that particular direction, right? So the first basic requirement is that, right? Whether it is experienced or you are starting your career from college, like for example, BSc IT, BTech IT, CS IT, CSC Computer Science and Engineering IT, whatever MSc Software Engineer, whatever, right? First, you should ensure that you become a full stack developer. This is mandatory. Let it be for any platform, right? Any web framework, right? For example, like Python full stack developer, something like that you can example. So any other framework that you like the most, you have to become an expert there with full stack developer standards. You need to be a developer first, okay? And you should know the OWASP top 10 rules, right? Because this is very mandatory for building any web applications. Let it be API as a service or an web application with a front end, right? You need to know the standards, OWASP top 10 standards. You can refer OWASP.org for this, right? The 10 rules to make a web application secure. And you should be able to handle some important tools, right? Once you write a code or something, whether it is meant for front end or back end, so you need to have some hands-on tools to analyze the source code vulnerabilities. For that, you will use SAST, static application source code testing, you can say like that. For example, I always suggest Sneak, which is available in open source and also for the enterprise licenses. For learners, you can go to sneak.io and you can learn that. You can use that. You can refer to that site and you can install it, and you can scan your source code for the vulnerabilities, and you read that vulnerability, you take the suggestions and you revamp your code accordingly. That is for SAST. Another tool you should have good hands-on is the dynamic application source code, dynamic application dynamic application specific testing. I'm not sure about this. Yes, dynamic application testing, right? So here what the tool that I would say is ZAttack proxy zap, right? It is available in active mode and also in passive mode, and open VAS, then nuclei, then nmap for TCP and UDP scanning, then SSL scanning for whether you have the full chain or not, something like that. The certificates validation tools, right? So you should be able to run these tools on the application that you develop, whether it is going to be an authenticated scan or without means pre-authentication scan, right? Both you can do using DAST, right? So you should need to have hands on there, and you should know some data privacy standards also when you're writing a code, right? Suppose if you are building an application, right, for example, for any client that you handle, right, the data is very important. If it is going to be a personal information or if it is going to be related to health, right, HIPAA, health records, or sometimes when you're going to handle that on a database or something, you should ensure that you follow certain encryption standards. Yes, it's mostly AES 256 based encryption when you for data at rest, right? That is very important. And you know, right, when the data is in transit, it is always SSL, right? TLS version 1.2 and above. So it's today it is already it is TLS version 1.3 and above already now. So TLS 1.3 today's standards, right? Which is for HTTPS for data in transit. And the encryption, as I said, it is AES 256. Now, if you want to store the data in a database and decrypt it, okay. And in addition to that, what I would say is that authentication, right? Only with proper authentication authorization, right? For example, this will also include a single sign-on. I missed it actually here in this point, so you should know single sign-on. the how to handle the access token and refresh tokens and all these things. So that also it's a part of a compliance. Only if you have proper authentication authorization, the user must have the access towards the data stored on the database, whether it is file upload or download or manipulation of any data or sending the data on someone, everything it can be. And you should be 100% when you're writing an application for some purpose, right? You should know to enable logging for any functionality that you write, any backend functionality, right? When a user is getting authenticated, right, what he is doing on the application after the authentication, and the logout, the sign in needs to be captured. Then after that, the actions that is performing on the application, that needs to be captured, and the sign out. Everything should have complete logging. So you need to have the logging throughout the functionality, and you should know how to store those logs on a database like a MongoDB or anything, whatever that's your favorite, right? So you should I will always prefer if you learn MongoDB. It is very good, right? So the replica sets and other things which is important for disaster recovery also, you can learn. So MongoDB is a good thing. So you should know how to log the complete functionality of the application when the user signs in, and his actions on the application, and when he signs out of the application, right? Those logs, everything has to be stored on a database, and you need to know at least a query to pull the based on the timestamps and to display those things. As I mentioned, right, everything is put together 7 plus 8, it is the audit trails that I have already. So logging everything, what are the user is doing, like the complete audit trail, it covers that technically. And a secure web gateway, if I say secure web gateway, right, you need to host the application. You need to host the application properly with the content security policies and course policies. You should be able to give geo-IP restrictions, and you should be able to deploy the web application firewall. And web application firewalls, it will be a normal core rule sets that is available in GitHub, CRS core rule sets that you can use for mod security web application firewall. You can use it. In addition to that, you should be able to customize based on the cyber threats, right? You should be in a position to customize the web application firewall rules. So not just using direct host top 10 CRS rules for the web application firewall, you should be able to customize the rules accordingly based on the threats that you read on daily basis on any open source community. So to give you a rough overall picture, right, in the year 2026, if you want to concentrate on cyber security, first ensure you are a full stack developer. Okay, then learn what's top 10. Then you need to understand, and then you need to scan your codes using the SAS tools, static application security testing tools, then dynamic application security testing tool, DAST. Then you should know some clauses on data privacy, GDPR. In India, we call it as DPDP. Okay, so you can refer that DPDP. Okay, and then HIPAA for health records and all these things. Data at rest and in transit, right? It has to be encrypted and decrypted accordingly with proper authentication and authorization. And you need to store the complete audit trails, right? If I say audit trails, it's nothing but the logging in and out of the application, all throughout the application for a user, right? Everything has to be stored on a database, and you should be able to query it properly and display them with proper timestamps. So logging means logging against the timestamps, has to be stored for incident record purpose. Then once that is all done, you should know it hosted properly using a secure web gateway. So with proper rate limiting, content security policies, cost, UIP, web application firewall, core sets and everything. And the 11th point, secure web gateway means you should be not only that, you should be good in Nginx, and you should be good enough in OpenResty. So you need to have this much of exposure and experience to ensure yourself in a very good position in cybersecurity. I hope this video was informative, and thank you for watching.